I don't run to see if people are walking in with suitcases and putting them under a table with a black robe around it. I don't do that. That's up to your government here. And for whatever reason, your Secretary of State and your governor are afraid of Stacey Abrams. Your governor could stop it very easily if he knew what the hell he was doing. He could stop it very easily. You don't get out and vote, they are going to win. Now, you know, a lot of people, friends of mine, say, let's not vote. We're not going to vote because we're angry about the presidential election. And they're friends of mine. They're people that are great people. They're real friends, and more than just two. There are numerous people, and it's almost like a protest. But if you do that, the radical left wins, okay? It was sort of an instinct of mine. You know, you're angry because so many votes were stolen, it was taken away. And you say, well, we're not going to do it. We can't do that. We have to actually do just the opposite. We can't do that. We can't do that. We have to do just the opposite. If you don't vote, the socialists and the communists win. They win. Georgia patriots must show up and vote for these two incredible people. And I'm telling you, they're two of the finest people you'll ever meet. We can fight for the presidency and fight to elect our two great senators, and we can do it at the same time. We'll do it at the same time. It's all right. The election is about David Perdue, one of the greats, Kelly Loeffler, a person who is, for the last 4 years, David Perdue has been one of the toughest fighters for our America First agenda in Washington. And David saw this. Did you see last week? China said, China doesn't like me too much. They pay us billions and billions. That never happened. Billions and billions of dollars in tariffs. And they pay it. They devalued their currency. They paid a lot of money. They don't like me. The happiest people in the world right now are the leaders of China. The second happiest are the leaders of Iran. What we would have done in the next 4 years, we would have been on a footing like nobody's ever, and now we're giving it all away. But China said, we will not deal with you unless you get rid of the America First policy. And you know what? We said, have this brought back into your legislature, Governor. Have it brought back. Let these people make it. Keep it open, keep it transparent, and let us have a signature verification. What's wrong with that? They keep counting the same votes. I said, don't count votes. Look at the signature. You're going to find the signatures aren't what they were 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. But our two great Senate opponents, and these are two people that fight, and they're going to fight. And the fact that I will have by the end, more than 300, first term, think of it. And if we do a second term, which I hope we do, we could have close to 540. But the fact that I had 3 Supreme Court justices in the first term is not making them feel too good. They will unilaterally surrender to China. They're already doing it. They're already doing it. And, you know, Hunter made a lot of money in China. What's he going to do? Sending our factories and our jobs overseas. They will raise your tax court, and they want to hurt it very badly. And if these two don't get in, or if I don't get in and these don't, we got to get, the best would be all 3. Nothing will happen. All 3. But they want to destroy the sanctity of the Supreme Court,
So what I just brought you there was a series of clips from Donald Trump's rally tonight in Georgia, ostensibly to help elect David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler to the Senate to stop the Democrats from taking control of the Senate. But basically, he fails to achieve that objective because he makes this event almost exclusively about him and his grievances, whether it's with the Democrats or with Georgia Governor Brian Kemp or with any sort of imagined enemy that he has. There's no real making sense of the clips, frankly. Like, I brought them to you almost to showcase the delusion, the insanity, the bonkerness of it all. But the fact of the matter is, you can draw out 3 key themes from this event. First is that he isn't campaigning for Loeffler and Perdue. He is at time to time incidentally saying nice things about them. He even does suggest to people that, hey, I know you're mad about the election, but don't withhold your vote. Please go and vote for Loeffler and Perdue. But most of this is about him, and most of it is him attacking, supposed enemies and not putting forward a positive message for why these two senators deserve another 6 years in office. And that undercuts the supposed value of the event. Another factor here is Trump can't decide whether he won the election or didn't win the election. His rhetoric snaps back and forth because on the one hand, when he says these two senators are the last line of defense between you and the radical Democrats, he is admitting he lost. When he says that, he admits he lost because if they win one of those races, it's 51-49. If they lose both, it's 50-50. But at 50-50 is still good enough if Mike Pence was vice president. If indeed Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won, then that's the only way the Democrats can take control. It has to be 50-50 with the Democrats in the White House. Otherwise, these races actually don't matter. They're not the last line of defense if Donald Trump is going to remain president, because it's 50-50 and Mike Pence is the vice president and he will be the tiebreaker. So these only really matter as much as they do if indeed Donald Trump lost the election, which of course he did, but Trump can't say that because that undercuts the delusion of himself and the people in the crowd. And you also hear him say that sometimes, like a second term would have been great. He'll say in our second term, if we have one, he just can't quite admit it. He comes close, but he can't quite admit that, this is over. And another factor here is he can't put aside his own ego from rallying together his party. It's more than just not really being there for Loeffler and Perdue. It's that in multiple times here, he attacks Brian Kemp, he attacks Raffensperger, he attacks all sorts of Republicans that don't support him. He attacks, elements of Fox News that aren't with him. He gives specific praise to radical right-wing networks like OAN and Newsmax. Basically, in doing all this, just to showcase that, everyone's against me, even some people in the Republican Party. And that sort of rhetoric feeds exactly into that impulse that some people have about not participating in the upcoming runoffs because they feel the Republican Party at the local level doesn't support them. And Donald Trump, even acknowledging that, even if he says, despite that, go and vote, by acknowledging that, he's hurting his own party's chances. And look, I'm happy about that because I don't want to see Perdue and Loeffler win. I don't want to see them stay in the Senate. I want Warnock and Ossoff to win because they're better candidates and the Democrats should have control of the Senate. But the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump is failing to realize that he's lost the election and that his legacy going forward is the party he leaves behind. And a party that's divided, a party that's fighting one another, a party that loses total control of government when they had a chance to hold on to it is an awful legacy for him. And so this is a man so consumed with his immediate ego that he can't even in a self-interested sense understand how this will look upon him through history. Donald Trump has absolutely failed to represent his party, and he's absolutely failed to ensure they have a chance of victory in January. If they win those seats, it'll be despite him and not because of him.